Hey everyone, welcome to the Uncensored match build-up show. Boxing Day action looms. Liverpool host Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester City. It is an 8 o'clock kickoff. A well-lubricated Liverpool fan base are hoping to have a joyous end to that two-day Christmas period and beyond. And joining me to talk about that, I have got Steve Hoare, Ben Kelly and Dan Clubb as well. I'm wary of this... of going too heavy on this. It's not worked for them so far with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge. In fact, they were humbled by Wolves, and who are another team that are struggling. In fact, struggling worse. New manager come in. A new manager bounced in a big way. To lose at home the way that he did was not great for them. The issue that Leicester have got, Steve, is that
the crap.
But you look at the players. Like Jamie Vardy should not be leading the line as the main centre forward for Leicester heading into 2025. That is an horrendous mismanagement of squads and budget. Harry Winks is a capable central midfielder, but he's not of the top of that sort of standard. So I think Leicester are playing with expectations of, we're a Premier League team, we're a good Premier League team, we've won the Premier League, here's where we should be at, but I've got no barometer for really the level of quality that Van Nistelrooy's got, and that's Van Nistelrooy. I'm not sure he's a good enough manager, but because I'm saying all this stuff, I am fearful that they're going to rock up on Boxing Day and cause some mad upset.
Yeah, well, it's a free hit, isn't it, for them? Like, geez, they've got nothing to lose. They're getting battered as it is. They've had issues. Obviously, the goalkeeper the other day, Danny Ward, his own fans were singing his shite at him, which is
where do we stand on that? By the way,
I don't think you should ever sing to one of your players that the crap. Like I never agree with booing your players even if they play badly. I think you can almost be silent and kind of get it.
But you can do stuff full time. I think to say you've been upset or annoyed with a performance.
I hate they booed, but I hate when fans boo their own team. It winds me up. It's just not something I agree with. You're a supporter. The name is kind of in the name, but they're on this case. The basic stats show you they don't get enough shots and they concede way too many shots. It is that simple. Van Nistelrooy's come in, taken over from Steve Cooper, and he had a hard job in that. Ex-Forest, it was a bit like when Rafa took over Everton. It was never really going to work for them. Yeah. So they've gone for Van Nistelrooy, and maybe it was just the players. They look like a championship team. They've got a lot of what you'd call championship players. There's a couple of good players, but yeah, it's been really tough for them. And listen, I tell you now, if you give Liverpool 15 shots at goal, you're going to go away from Boxing Day with hiding. So if they continue how they've been doing and we continue what we've been doing, Liverpool should beat them comfortably. But you are right. Sometimes you get a team and it's just like, listen, who cares? Let's just go and give it an absolute go and see what we can get out of these things, because what, shits and giggles needs must kind of stuff. But if they'd have beaten Wolves, that gap would have been 8 points, I think I'm right in saying. And that's a big old gap. That you're almost safe with 8 points. Like that's a hard gap for the 18th place to come and get. The fact that Wolves beat them, they come to Anfield now thinking, oh my God, we might half need something, and that's it should be a free hit. That's never easy for them. So I'm pretty confident. Liverpool should beat Leicester at home. It's not Liverpool v Leicester of bygone years. This couldn't last.
I lived years of Leicester being our bogey team in the 90s, and we used to laugh about like Ian Marshall, and then he just rock up to Anfield and score. It was highly frustrating, but yeah, it's a different thing. Just lastly on that, the Ward thing, we had this with Karius. So, like, anyone who went to that Tranmere Rovers pre-season game after Kiev,
and he cheered when he scored, when he saved one.
But it was the ironic cheers. That's the worst thing, because that was what was being reported at the weekend. I didn't know they were singing, actively chanting against him and stuff. But I heard about like the going way when he catches one, and it's like, fuck. I mean, Leicester fans are horrible anyway.
They're horrible. Yeah, they're the worst. Yeah. Leicester fans are the worst.
Yeah,
that was my only point. And we always managed to play them at this time of year as well, and they love that particular song. They're horrible.
Yeah, no. So they deserve nothing as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think Danny Ward's a great goalkeeper. I think he definitely had a time. There was a sliding doors moment where maybe he could have been Liverpool's goalie, and who knows. But ultimately, we bought Alisson, and the rest is history off that. But this is a guy who got Huddersfield promoted. He certainly had things going for him. I think I always find this with sub-goalies, when you're a sub-goalie forever and they keep buying goalies in above you, it kind of tells you a lot of where you're at. When Schmeichel left, if you're then taking the place, it's often like, well, why weren't you weren't really ready to dislodge him, and obviously that's never happened. So I don't agree with it. I think the fans have been a bit shitty to him, but if he carries on, that's not a situation. It's getting better. You can't improve as a goal, you know what I mean? Because every goalkeeper makes mistakes.
It's worth mentioning though, Paul, that was a Van Nistelrooy choice. Obviously the first choice goal is injured, but you do have Iverson.
Got two others,
and he chose to go Danny Ward, and their fans hate that. They don't like him anyway.
Yeah,
it's a strange
but
one.
Iverson's, I mean, again, the risk of him, he's probably going to start and he'll be that goalie, but he's not.
No, but what I'm saying, it's one of those things. Sometimes new managers fail to read the room.
Yeah.
If there's a player who your fans just don't like, who they're not having, and then you pick him, sometimes that's a little bit naive.
He's played a couple of Danny Ward now. This is in his first game. And I said to you, he's been there for like a decade. He's been waiting in the wings for so long. You feel like if the first choice goalie does get injured, it really should be Danny Ward, because he's paid his dues, he served his time. But yeah, in terms of the quality, and maybe just a lack of footy thing.
It shouldn't be a prerequisite for a first 11 berth.
Of course not, no. But if
he
he isn't, again, I always question sort of your own motives and your own, and sort of where's your own head at. And if he plays Boxing Day, his head's going to be in the bin, isn't it? Let's be honest. So
yeah, just in terms of what they're likely to offer, Jamie Vardy's their top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. Again, just a reminder, it's 2024. 6 goals, I say, this season, 3 assists for him. For Kunda Buonanotte is on 4, Jordan Ayew 3, James Justin 2, Mavididi, who's actually probably their only real bright spark against Wolves, over on the left-hand side.
He booed James Justin as well, didn't they? I read that he booed James Justin, and he's meant to be one of the best.
He was. I think post-injury hasn't quite been the same, potentially, but
they're a weird bunch, Leicester. I'd be more than happy for us to absolutely batter them in this game, to be perfectly honest. But Boxing Day has been quite a good sort of thing for us, televised game. It's one of my favourite. It is my favourite time of the year. All the Liverpool supporting men in our family get together in one room and watch a football game, which never ever happens. On Liverpool, then, Ben, what are you doing for this one? We've kind of played ourselves into a healthy situation with rotation. Really, there are other games on the horizon, of course. Before there's one more game before New Year's. West Ham, right? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. And then United
in the new year. But because of the way we manage the League Cup, I think he's pretty much got, of all the lads he's got fit and available, he can almost do whatever he wants in this one.
and having the week break helps. I mean, we were talking before we come in, it's so rare to not have a New Year's Day fixture, and now suddenly you've got a week gap, and it's notwithstanding the potential rotations and break for the Champions League that we're going to have, it's going to be very rare between now and the end of the season that you have a full week. Yep. So yeah, it gives you license. And I think a few of the individual performances yesterday, I think, might have changed my thinking slightly. So, for example, I probably would have taken Szoboszlai out for this, but how can you really? He played so well yesterday. You'd start him now. It's a game that probably suits Curtis Jones. Yeah. So maybe you chuck him in instead of McAllister. I'd probably stick with Gakpo. And I'd maybe look at Núñez, because they are terrible, and it's maybe a game where he can go and get a couple of goals. Yeah. So maybe Diaz drops out. If it's one of those, if Chiesa's fit, or if he was, this is the exact type of game where you go, well, maybe Salah. But I think the problem is now Salah is desperate to play every game. Yeah. He's scoring every game. Yeah. He's not picking up. He's available for every game.
Sunday, Thursday's a big gap, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got a week off the back of it. So I'd probably put Núñez in, and I'd probably put Jones in. And if Tsimikas is around, I'd maybe put Tsimikas in. I think they're the 3 I'm going to play.
Yeah, I agree. I think he makes 3 changes, because not so much fatigue ahead of after Spurs, more looking ahead to West Ham, because that Thursday Sunday turnaround, I know we were used to it a bit last season. So I think Kostas definitely plays. I think you can put him in ink. Jones, I think, plays for I'd probably say for Szoboszlai as well. I think this is more of a Jones game than a Szoboszlai game. I think I would start Jota as well. I think Jota will play against Leicester. He feels like he hates them for a he told to fuck off, didn't he, a few years ago. It feels like more of a penalty box game than a running in behind game. So I
think they'll be deep.
So I think maybe Gakpo drops out. You move Lucho to the left and play Jota. Because you do, again, the gap from Spurs to Leicester's fine. It's the Leicester to West Ham thing that he'll have half an eye on.
Yeah, I think it's all good points. You're right. This is one where on paper you should be able to feel whatever team you want because Leicester have been dog shit, and they're not in great form, and it's at Anfield, and you've got all those things going for you. But we talked about after that Real Madrid Man City week, if you really needed to go and beat Newcastle to keep the vibes going, and it felt like we kind of undercut it to get back to make sure to re-solidify our place at the top of the league. This is one where I want to go and you want to be utterly ruthless. Go and put another really strong statement win down here if you can, and worry about what comes of West Ham. And you're right, there's enough of a gap there that you should be fine, barring any major sort of injury issues. So, yeah, I think what we're saying there makes perfect sense. You're not weakening your team really by putting Tsimikas in there. The rest of the back four pretty much picks itself on who's available and the goalie. Gravenberch, no reason why he wouldn't continue to play. He had a week off, didn't he? McAllister's had plenty of time off because of suspension, so he should be able to go again. And yeah, I'm fine. Curtis Jones, bring Curtis in, and that Jota up front needs minutes. So yeah, all falling into place.
Yeah, so the Liverpool's boxing day record, touch wood, has been excellent. Jurgen Klopp on all of his that he played,
Leicester included,
twice. Yeah. Hopefully Arne Slot can do the same. I think the last year was Burnley, wasn't it? We played and beat them 2-0. Liverpool's record, like I say, this is the time in the fixture calendar where the big teams sometimes do all right, because these, with all due respect, lesser teams aren't used to this grind.
Squad's
Liverpool have got a squad where they can make 4 or 5, 6 changes. Leicester don't really have that. I know they've got their own injury issue. They're missing the goalkeeper, or have been. He's touch and go whether he's going to come back. So I think this is one way, when you should hope that your squad's good enough, and where these teams who are used to having a week off and all of a sudden they're asked to go and play a relegation 6-pointer where they've just got battered and then they go to Anfield. It's one of those where, when we were battered in Spurs 5 and they didn't give up, Leicester probably would. They probably, there's bigger fish to fry down the road than trying to get 3 points at Anfield. So fingers crossed it plays out.
Just in terms of keeping with the trivia tradition on build-up shows, does anyone know the last time we lost to Leicester in the league at Anfield?
Oh, Anfield. God, no. They beat us at their place when Luckman scored, Salah missed the pen.
Oh, we lose that.
They scored from the halfway line once at their place.
That volley as well.
One of the reasons Ben hates Leicester so much is that little clutch of...
To that game on the 27th.
Do you remember the COVID one at their gaff when Clavan and Alisson ran into each other?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's always been at their place.
Was it not? Kabak.
Clavan. Clavan,
from the past.
Big O's on.
The last time...
Did Ian Marshall score? Because he tended to do this.
This is before that. So
before?
We've lost more recently.
I see.
Games. The last time we lost at Anfield to Leicester was on the 3rd of May, 2000.
Was it? Yeah.
So, 24 and a
Who
half
scored
years.
the goals? Muzzy, is it?
Goal. I'll tell you.
Heskey?
Big Emil.
No, the goals were
play for us by
scored
then?
by former Everton centre-forward.
Oh.
Everton, Leicester.
Yeah.
Tony Cottee.
Tony Cottee.
Wow, that's a great...
God. Don't worry about it, Ben. It's fine. Ask your dad.
both Tony Cottee?
No, he scored after 2 minutes in that game, and the second I would never have got this in a million years. It was scored by Phil Gilchrist.
Not a real person.
Liverpool's 11. Westerveld, Oncho, Ipia, Matteo Carragher. This was in the dominant Matteo at left back the time of life. Jamie Redknapp, captain. Berger, Hamann, Thompson, Heskey and Owen were in the Liverpool lineup that day. Martin O'Neill was the manager, of course. Peggy Fexad was in goal for Leicester.
Signed him after that, did we?
Yeah, exactly. Before he joined us on a free transfer.
Supposed to play the worldie.
Yeah.
Was that the worldie, that game?
With another one, as far as blasts from the past, that Leicester team. So Peggy Fexad, Andy Impey, Steve Guppy, Phil Gilchrist, Matt Elliott, Frank Sinclair, Neil Lennon. Muzzy is it, Tony Cottee, Robbie Savage and Darren Eadie. There's some Premier League.
Barclays
almost like pre-Barclays. Darren Eadie, Robbie Savage, Muzzy is it.
Matty Elliott, mate.
Matt Elliott was
the early days of fancy footy when you have to write into the paper to pick your team, so you couldn't change it after a while. Everyone, he went up for corners.
Steve Guppy, mate, is he England's answer down the left-hand side? Conclusively, no, he was not. But it didn't hurt to try. And yeah, there was a little spell in that time where we actually lost three on the bounce. We actually lost.
Man O'Neill's Leicester team were a little bit of a bogey team for us.
Yeah, we lost in '99 and then in '97 before that as well. And I imagine there's probably some Ian Marshall goals in all of them. Well done to everyone who knew that stuff. For the sake of argument, let's have some score predictions. Steve, what do you think?
4-0.
I go 5-0 because I was going to say 4-0.
I'll say 3-0, but that's always with the foot off the gas for a bit.
5-1. Jamie Vardy, obviously.
Loves an Anfield goal, doesn't he?
Does indeed, the prick. And I would even not be against him scoring the opening goal, just so you get, you know what I mean, just to see him there. She has that little bit of belief that maybe, it's all fine, it's all fine. No, it's not 5-1. Cool. Let me know in the comments what you think this game is going to go like, what's your starting 11 and all of that stuff as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you got more from us and the gang, can keep the festive vibes going.
That wasn't long enough. There's more to come.
We will be over on the Biased Football podcast over on Redmen Plus, discussing Arsenal, the leaky press room in Manchester United's ground. Oh, joyous days. Manchester City's continued dismal form, Everton holding Chelsea, and a whole lot more, including the Boxing Day fixtures. So yeah, come and check us out over on redmenplus.com for that one. Ta-da.